It's Calgary's podcast on the Canada's Podcast Network.
Today's guest is McLean, who is owner of Basecamp Resorts in Canmore, Alberta. Thanks for joining us today, Sky.
Thank you for having me.
Well, let's just start by telling me a little bit about Basecamp Resorts, what it is and what you guys do.
You bet. So Basecamp Resorts started in Canmore and was inspired by my own traveling. When I went somewhere, I wanted to stay somewhere where the quality was superior and there was great cleanliness and a brand, but still have that home away from home feel. And I didn't always have a great experience on Airbnb. From time to time, you would get something that looks amazing and turns out amazing. And then from other times, you would get something that looks amazing and is dirty or not as the photos or not as the reviews. And so there was no continuity with those experiences. So I wanted to create something that has that Airbnb home away from home vacation rental feel, but that we put a brand to that. So I also wanted to obviously get away from the 2 queen beds in a bathroom thing that has that Best Western or Quality Inn or anything like that. So I wanted to brand the vacation rental. So we started here in Canmore and then grew from there to some other properties in Canmore and now Revelstoke.
In Revelstoke, BC. Okay. So can you tell me just a little bit about how many properties you have?
Sure. So right now, operational in Canmore, we have 3 hotels and then another one under construction that's going to open in June of 2020. So this June. In Revelstoke, we have 1 under construction that will open this summer. And then another piece of land downtown Revelstoke that will start construction next spring and be open a year thereafter. We also have a piece of land in Golden, BC, where we want to do a Basecamp Resorts as well. And then thereafter, continuing to grow.
Okay. What are the benefits of doing business and having a business in Canmore?
Well, there's a lot of benefits. Firstly, it's a great community. So we get to know our trades, we get to know our suppliers and members of the community who are also running businesses. It's a really tight-knit community, and that's a huge bonus. We also benefit greatly from the proximity to Calgary. If we need any materials, if we need supplies, if we need a trade that's not available in Canmore, we have another pool to pull from, which is fantastic. And obviously the lifestyle here is fantastic. So that's a big part of it as well.
What have been some of the biggest challenges you've faced as being an entrepreneur?
It's really hard. Like, as I said, the community is really tight-knit. So being a newcomer back in 2016, it was really hard. People didn't know who we were. And I would say the community automatically jumped to, oh, who are these guys? Like, who do they think they are, building a building with, some obstruction to our views and blah, blah, blah. And we took quite a bit of abuse on social media, which is fine. I can take it. It just seemed a little bit unnecessary. So that was definitely a challenge. But now it's great now. So.
Okay. What about just in terms of the business itself of being an entrepreneur? What are the biggest things you've had to overcome in terms of challenges or obstacles in just the operation?
Well, obviously the main one is the risk, and especially at the beginning, it's always risky. Your life is on the line. Like all these hotels, if something goes sideways, like there goes my entire existence. It's not, I go and get a paycheck every 2 weeks and then go home and like walk the dog or whatever. It doesn't stop. You work 24/7 and people are like, oh, do you take the weekend off? Well, no, you can't. If you want to run a successful business, you have to be available for your business all the time. And I think people will argue that. And maybe later in my career, it's possible to like turn it off and, have enough people in place to do certain things. But right now we're like still in the startup phase and we're experiencing, luckily and successfully, a lot of growth, which I love, but you can't just like disappear and not respond to things if you're trying to grow a business. It's impossible.
What's being a woman in this business? It's I think it's a bit of a rarity. Most people consider the hotel industry to be run by kind of older males. Like, what's that? What's that been like for you?
That's very correct. We went to a hotel conference and it was like 90% suits, 10% women.
Uh-huh.
It's been it's gone both ways. Real estate is also highly male dominated, and you're correct. Hotel business is highly male dominated. And at the beginning, people didn't take me seriously. They were like, are you some kind of joke? Like, did your daddy give you money? Like, no, actually, that's not how it went down.
Yeah.
And then eventually I feel like it works in my favor now that I've proven myself. It's like, oh, wow, this young female pulled this off. Like, there you go. She's actually like got a head on her shoulders. So it's kind of gone a 180, but at the beginning it was terrible. When we needed a loan for our first hotel, it was, whether it was that I was young, whether it was female, whether it was lack of independent experience. I had real estate experience working for other people, but I hadn't run my own real estate firm, or like a combination of the above. The initial project was like really, really hard.
Mm-hmm. As you look forward, what's kind of your grand vision, I guess, for Basecamp, and what's the company going to be like in 5 years?
Well, I hope to continue to build Basecamp Resorts and to grow that brand that associates directly with a quality controlled vacation rental, where you're going to have clean sheets, you're going to have coffee, you're going to have a hot tub, you're going to have all these amenities. And whether I continue to like do all the construction and development myself, or whether we try to put that brand on already existing properties, is something we're definitely looking at as an opportunity, because the construction process is risky and time consuming, and maybe not going to grow the brand as quickly as we would like. So I think we're going to pursue both of those trajectories. And in 5 years, hopefully we'll have, another 5 to 10 hotels under the brand and be continually growing.
Now, when you look at sites, obviously all of your locations are kind of in the mountains type thing, right? Is that where your focus is of where you're going to grow, or you maybe look elsewhere as well?
Well, a lot of the growth is based on the figures. So for example, the vacancy, the occupancy, the ADRs, which is average daily rate that you can get, the revenue per available room, all these different hotel stats. And also the future for that particular community. Does it look like the tourism is a year-round, thing? What's the proximity to international airport? But yes, to answer your question, I would like to stay in these types of mountain communities for now, where there's year-round tourism, outdoor athletics are prominent, and then grow from there.
Okay, then. What's the best piece of advice you've ever received about being an entrepreneur?
The best one is, if you never ask, the answer will always be no. So I'm never afraid to ask someone, because I can't be worse off than I already am. Like if it's not happening and then the person says no, it's still not happening. But if something's not happening and I ask and all of a sudden someone says yes, it's like, woo, great. So never be afraid to pick up the phone, never be afraid to ask, never think that it's dumb, or even if it's like, you might look at something you've asked for 5 years ago and be like, wow, that was really dumb. But in the moment, it wasn't dumb. So
exactly.
For anyone who wants to be an entrepreneur, just go for it. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Don't be afraid to find a mentor. Like, tons of resources available for entrepreneurs, and to seek those out.
So before, you mentioned a little bit about, being on call basically all the time, to run a business. How do you strike, this work-life balance that everybody talks about these days?
You got to make an effort. It's not, like I said, it's not a natural thing. But I just do, like, the odd time I'll go for a ski tour, I'll turn my phone off, and that's that. I'm in the mountains and I'm unavailable. But before that, I really have to make sure, like, I have a 1-year-old daughter, so I have to make sure that the childcare is in order. I have to make sure that everything for work is in order. I have to make sure that I'm either with my husband or he knows where I'm going. So there are quite a lot of things to organize, but I definitely make a huge effort to ski and bike, because without that, I wouldn't be a successful business person.
Do you find that in these other pursuits and the activities that you're involved in, that the creative juices flow, and maybe you get ideas about your business when you're doing those pastimes?
Oh, absolutely. For sure. I do a lot of mountain biking, a lot of times by myself, because I'll have a random hour from like 1:30 to 2:30 p.m. where I can like sneak in a ride and no one's available because they're all working. And I'll definitely spend a lot of that time thinking about the business and coming up with different ideas, and even solving problems. So I think it's great. I think everybody needs an outlet, whether it's biking or yoga or walking or whatever, to get the mind going or resting or whatever.
Yeah. So if you weren't doing this, what do you think you would be doing for a career as a profession?
If I wasn't in hotels, I would have been in some form of real estate development, which actually, in fact, we are building some projects as a real estate developer. I am building other projects that aren't hotels. Sorry.
Why real estate? What's kind of the attraction there for you?
When I was a kid, my parents used to go look at all these different open houses on the weekend, and they wanted to move. They wanted to make an investment. My mom used to be a realtor before I was born, and they would always have these great ideas, and they would never execute on them. And it drove me crazy because I was always like, oh, we looked at all these different properties that could be a great renovation project or great whatever, and they never did any of it. And so in that experience, I was just always drawn to it, and I like the tangibility of it. Like I like that there's a physical asset there, as opposed to stocks where who knows.
If you had one word to describe yourself, what would it be and why?
I would use the word genuine, and I think that embodies a lot of other characteristics. But as a genuine person, it makes me a great mom, a great entrepreneur, great friend, wife, all that, is embodied in there. And I think if you're not genuine, then, you're not honest, you're not truthful, you're not all that stuff. So
yeah, well, that's true. Yeah. So in terms of, obviously your life is busy in terms of the work that you do and your business. Do you find that you have a daily routine that you follow each day to keep you on track, or was it kind of all over the place?
All over the place. I try to go to the gym in the mornings, but sometimes we're traveling for work and that doesn't really work out. And I definitely do try to exercise and, obviously spend time with my daughter and family, but it's not like at this time this happens, at that time that happens. Yeah. It's like whenever it works.
Okay. Now, I've often described to friends of mine that, I consider Canmore kind of be paradise. Love that town there. For yourself, do you have a favorite place outside, obviously disregard Canmore for a second, but do you have a favorite place that you like to go to and visit?
Well, yeah, Revelstoke, which is what inspired the hotels there. So I always enjoyed going to Golden and Revelstoke. They have great mountain biking, great skiing. In Revelstoke, there's fantastic snowmobiling. So there's all these great outdoor activities. And whenever I went to Revelstoke, I was always like, there's nowhere to stay. This is terrible. So then we were like, okay, well, we better build a hotel.
Okay, super. Okay, speaking of travel, okay, I'm going to pose a situation to you. Okay, there's a beautiful tropical island in the middle of the ocean. We're going to take you there and drop you off there. There's one phone booth there, nothing else, no other technology whatsoever. How long do you think it would take you to pick up that phone, to make us a phone call to us and say, hey, come get me, I need to get back home? And also, what do you think you'd be doing while you were there?
Well, I would definitely be swimming, and I would make the phone call as soon as I ran out of food.
Yeah.
So it may be a long time depending on what's on the island, but probably sooner than that if there was a lot of food, because I would miss Madison. So
that's your daughter, I presume.
Yeah, that's my
daughter. Okay, great. Is there anything, Sky, you'd like to add before you leave us today?
No, I think you covered it really well, and I really just want to thank you for the opportunity. I appreciate it, and yeah, thanks.
Okay, thanks for joining us today.